Hello, everyone. It is so beautiful, so fabulous to have you here today. I am so delighted that we are once again coming together in this experience of points of light reaching all around the world. And Fabienne, I don't see myself on the full view, and so I'm not sure I see you there. So you may want to come in and check my computer. Anyway, it is an immense gift to just say, hello, world. Very, very interesting. That phrase, hello, world, has a very, very special meaning in my life, which I may talk about a little bit later. And we will see how that all unfolds as the universe puts it all together for us. Because what I'm aware of is that is the way that it works. That is the way that we manifest from divine mind. It's not about our human selves planning it. And so we simply begin where we begin. And my usual beginning is hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Marj Britt, founder of Called by Love and Called by Love Institute and Living Loving Legacy and all of the wonderful things that have come out of that. All of the courses, all of the classes, all of the divine moments in time where I've interviewed amazing teachers of God, amazing master teachers from all over the world. And I am so grateful that you're here with us today, because if you are here today, I want you to know that you are here by divine appointment. You are here because you are called into the magnificence and into a purpose that is beyond your human mind, beyond anything you know or anything you realize. In A Course in Miracles, it's called, once you have accepted God's plan, there will be nothing else the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your effort. Well, that's getting ahead of ourselves for now. So I want to simply say, I am so delighted that you are here. And one of the things that we're going to be moving with and through and becoming it, embodying it, is this whole awareness of how do we manifest from divine mind. This is something that relates to Site 3 in the meditation gardens at Unity of Tustin. Site 3 comes after Site 1 that starts out with saying, and there was darkness and void on the face of the waters. Have you figured out yet that you've gone through a period of darkness and void? The world has. It's called the pandemic. That's just one facet of the darkness and void that's happening right now in your life. Have you felt loss? Have you felt wondering? Have you felt uncertainty? Have you felt not knowing? That's part of the way the divine works. The divine takes that void, that emptiness, and absolutely lifts you up to another level of your being if you are willing. If you are willing to say yes. So one of the ways the Spirit talks to me is through the inbox on my computer. And today I got a wonderful message from a network for grateful living. I love that. David Steindl-Rast. And it said, you can never cross the ocean until you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. Are you willing? Are you willing to cross the ocean? Are you willing to see the all that is? Spirit never has any judgment about yeses or nos or maybe or in between. Spirit just loves you totally and completely, exactly as you are. You are a precious, innocent child. So perfect and so wonderful. And you raised your hand. You said yes when in the invisible, the call came out. Who wants to go to Earth for the greatest time of transformation in the history of humankind? And you raised your hand and you said, send me, send me. And so you are here in this moment in time. You are in the process of beginning to understand the invitation that you have said yes to. And it doesn't mean that you will understand it all at once. It doesn't mean that it will come to you easily. It does mean it will come to you effortlessly, but only if you're willing, only if you aren't distracted by things that come to you that may reflect other pieces of your life, may reflect pieces of the past. It may reflect things that you have to let go of, or I don't even like the word exactly let go of. Let them background, because they may come foreground again. That is not up to us, the foregrounding and the backgrounding. This is about a divine process. So one of the other interesting things I get every morning is a cosmic message from someone I never intended to have as a master teacher in my life. I thought it was a playful distraction. And I get her messages every morning. Her name is Anne. She's an astrologer, actually a very well-known master astrologer. And I signed up for an organization that I simply called a distraction during the time of the pandemic. I didn't want to get caught up in all of the dramas. And so this was my way of dealing with that. Thought I would do something that would be playful and interesting, but not important. Anne came into my life as a result of that. And today I got a text message from Anne that said, when you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. This aspect in the cosmic sky encourages you to articulate the who, the what, the when, the why, and the where of the next chapter. You've got this. And I will add something that my father used to call me, sweetheart. And sometimes now I say, God calls me sweetheart. You've got this, sweetheart. That's for every one of you that I'm seeing on the call. It's for you, Ed. It's for you, John Claude. It's for you, Fabienne. It's for you, Dustin. It's for you, Bruce. And I have to go to gallery view in order to see the rest of the 4 U's. It's for you, Ronnie. You've got this, sweetheart. It's for you, Michelle. You've got this, sweetheart. It's for you, Patricia. You've got this, sweetheart. It's for you, Con. You've got this, sweetheart. And it goes on and on and on around the world. You've got this, sweetheart. Say yes. And so where? Well, where are we going in this you got this, sweetheart? We're going to the realm of heaven on earth. We're going to the realm of infinite possibilities. We're going to the realm of creating and co-creating. We're going to the realm of living joy and beauty and harmony. That's what comes with heaven on earth. How does that sound to you? We're going to have divine rendezvous. We're going to be connecting with each other at deeper levels and with people we don't even know yet. We're going to be collaborating, and we're going to be collaborating with masters and with creators. The journey's just beginning. And so the question is, will you say yes? Will you believe it? Wayne Dyer used to say, you'll see it when you believe it. Most people say, I'll believe it when I see it. Doesn't work that way. It invites, never pushes, never forces, never manipulates, never coerces you to say yes. It's a holy invitation. Ultimately, for me, it was the vow, the marriage vow of the mystical union that is, first of all, a vow of the inner beloved, with your own inner beloved, with the Christ in you, your hope of glory. Charles Fillmore's favorite Bible verse, the co-founder of Unity, or with Buddha mind. It transcends and includes all of the spiritual paths from all of the world, all around the world. And it invites you to say yes to becoming a co-creator, to becoming a master. And one of my, I mean, I am in the fourth act of my life. I had no idea that retirement was not something that monks did. Roger Walsh told me that after I had done it. Sometimes people tell us after we've done it that you just made a decision that don't reflect who you are. Except it did, because I was not only invited to the next adventure in my life, I was invited to the next platform of my life. And that platform of my life included technology and the World Wide Web, and I don't even know how to do that. I used to have my son do it all for me. And he tried his best to teach me how to do it. And I'd say, why should I learn all of this? My brain's not wired for it. I have you. You can do this. And 17 years ago, in 2004, he passed through the veils. What I know is he's part of the energy field of guides, probably on this call this morning. There's a human form of another guide, and I'm going to invite her on in about 10 minutes. Her name is Ronnie. But there's a love story in my life about Ronnie and Marji. And this is the very first call I've ever mentioned that name on. The love story that included Ronnie, that I knew when I was 13 and 14. It was not a sexual passion, because we were young and we were innocent, and we still had a value system that didn't include sexuality at that young age. But he used to describe it when he found me later in my 70s. We were like two peas in a pod. That's what oneness feels like. Two peas in a pod, except it's a reflection of a biblical oneness that's called where two or more are gathered together in my name, in my consciousness. There I am. I am that I am, was the voice that came out of the burning bush. When Moses approached the bush that he saw burning in the desert, after he had escaped for his life, after having murdered someone that was beating a Jew, and Moses was the adopted son of the Pharaoh, running for his life, living in the wilderness for 40 years until he saw the burning bush. And the burning bush called him. You are called. You are divinely called in this moment in time. Will you say yes? Will you lead my people through this time of the pandemic, through this time of the greatest shift of the ages of humankind? Will you lead my people through? You are called. I am calling you. And maybe some of you, like Moses said, I stutter. Maybe Aaron, he's my brother. I stutter. And the call was for Moses. And Moses ultimately said, who shall I tell them sent me? And Spirit said, tell them, I am that I am. And so you came into this path, a soul descending into form. You raised your hand and said, I'll go, send me. And you were born wherever you were born. So I'm looking at you, Ed, in St. Louis, Missouri. Or I'm looking at you, Bruce, in Orange, California. Or I'm looking at you, Fabienne, in Belgium, halfway around the world. Or maybe it was partly about bringing part of your culture and your heritage into the awareness of the all that is. So that maybe that was you, Con, because of your Vietnamese background, your grandparents and your parents who immigrated. So many reasons for you being called. Or maybe it was you, Michelle, because you were supposed to bring in the awareness of the vision that includes everyone, even the sister that you would have, who would have polio, and there were no vaccines. And she has lived an entire life in a wheelchair. And she has a doctoral degree, and she's teaching. And she is amazing and an inspiration to thousands of souls. Maybe it was you, Michelle, that was supposed to bring her story in if she wasn't here to do it herself. And I don't see her on the screen. So maybe you will call her in. You see, my human mind can't understand that level of the all that is, because I have to go beyond the human mind to let spirit reveal itself, to let spirit show me the way. And so in this time together, on this call today, we are going to be talking about some of those ways of the divine revelations. And I had to find my copy of the email that I sent to you to tell you what I would talk about. We're going to be talking about knowing and the unknowing. And we're going to realize that we've been feeling it ever since we were infants, even before we knew how to talk or walk or crawl. We knew a divine innocence. We're going to get familiar with words like I am that always already, because that is what is going to send us into all of the circumstances and all of the manifestations that we are called to bring forth. I am that. I am our human self and our divine self as one. But our human mind will say, oh my God, what is the structure? I don't know how to build anything without a foundation. I don't know how to do that without a structure. And so the human mind dances with the divine mind and brings in the elements of the human experience into the divine realization. And all of the pieces of the puzzle, the first step, and then the next step, it's like follow the dots, follow the points of light. I used to call them bullet points. And then I got an aversion when my grandson died from a bullet wound. Fabienne and I went to his celebration of life. Tragic moment for those of us on the human plane. I don't like to call them bullet points anymore. Then I realized there's PowerPoints. And Ronnie is teaching me about PowerPoints. Not the Ronnie of my teenage years, but a Ronnie you're going to meet in just a few minutes. But then there's points of light. The points of light extend all of the way around the world. Right now, I'm connecting with the point of light that is connecting me with Michaelia, for example. And Michaelia is not even on this call today. She's often on our Called by Love calls. Didn't happen to show up today. But with that point of light, I am now immediately connected to Michaelia. Fabienne's immediately connected with her Belgian family. Fabienne is understanding the value of being able to translate English into French. And I am understanding of the value of knowing how to translate the divine experience into the human experience of knowing and yearning. And so every single part of your life, even the strange disguises, one of the big influence in my longest relationship with a husband, 23 years, Paul, my beloved Paul, whom I co-taught silent meditation retreats with, was his 40 plus years with AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. He said, that was, the phrase he used, I've got work to do. Every time I would say to him, well, why don't you come and be in California so we could be here? You're getting older. He's now passed through the veils. You're getting older. Why don't you come to California? The weather's better. And he'd say, I've got work to do. And he would get on the plane and disappear. How many planes have you gotten on and disappeared? Because you still had unfinished business to do. That's part of the divine plan, that you dance that dance simultaneously as you dance the dance of co-creation with the divine. So what does the way include? Every single part of your life. All of the strange disguises, like for Paul, alcohol. All of the hidden people potentially behind masks, like in times of the pandemic, times of difficulty. Yet it keeps opening us up into the beyond, into the realms of spirit, into the next unknowing. It keeps saying, you are called. So it came through to me as your concept of God is too limited. I thought that I had the most vast concept of God I'd ever seen in all of the Unity churches I'd known. The meditation garden reflected it. Site 7, all of the religions of the world and all of the unnamed wisdom. When that voice came through, while I was sitting curling my hair in front of the mirror on a Monday morning after I'd said 3 times in a talk, I know that I am called. When that voice came through and said, your concept of God is too limited. You are now called by love. Now, 10 years later, I have a very early glimpse of what that means. I hope it goes beyond my lifetime. I don't know. That's not in my human control. I have dedicated some of my trust to that. It'll depend if anyone thinks it's important enough to follow, to do this concept of being called by love. Maybe, maybe not. That famous Zen story. Maybe it's good, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. That's the way it works on the human plane. And the divine realigns us with the way. So sometimes when we are aligned with divine mind, manifestation happens that surprises us. So now I'm going to invite, and Fabienne, you'll need to potentially help me with this, invite Ronnie to come online. Now, the Ronnie I knew in my childhood was a very handsome 6'4" lifeguard at the Elks Club swimming pool. Oh my God, his body was enough to excite anyone, even a 13-year-old. We don't have a picture of Ronnie today of my childhood, but we have the Ronnie that called me out of the blue. She says she thinks she had talked to me one time before. I don't remember that. It seemed like it was out of the blue. Total surprise. Well, I had seen her on a call one time before when the new board members for the Inside Edge, an organization that I've been familiar with and a member of now in Orange County, founded by Diana Wentworth, elected their new board, and Ronnie was one of the board members that was elected. So Ronnie, you're unmuted. Come into full view with me, the speaker view, and say hello to the Called by Love community around the world.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ronnie. I live in Napa Valley, in the beautiful Napa Valley, and I'm just reflecting on a couple things. So I'm going to backtrack for a minute. I don't think Marj knows this story, but I think it's appropriate as she's unfolding so many of the ways the divine shows up. So a couple years ago, I was sleeping in the middle of the night, and I was suddenly awoken, and this voice says, "Go to your computer." This is ridiculous. I'm not going to my computer. I'm going to sleep. And then this voice, I turn over, I'm going to ignore it. And this voice says, "Go to your computer and look up book clubs." I must be dreaming. This is absolutely absurd. I want to go to sleep. And for the third time, I try to roll over and go back to sleep. And it says, go look at book clubs. And I'm thinking, this is one of the most silly things I've ever done. So I come to my computer, I Google book clubs, and I had been in book clubs. They weren't like they were new to me. I had done several. There were several different variations. But all of a sudden, I see that there's not hundreds, there's thousands of book clubs, thousands. And I'm going, what in the world am I doing? There's so much competition out there. I have no idea why I'm playing in this field. I just want to go back to bed. And I get back in bed and I'm laying there and I'm just running it through my mind. And all of a sudden I get a message that says, what about a book club with the author? So I get up, I come back to the computer and I look up book clubs with authors, and there is none. I Googled it and put in every kind of combination I could ever figure out. And I thought, nobody's doing a book club with an author. What if you did a book club with an author and you got to meet them and ask them direct questions? Well, that's the backstory of how I moved into meeting Marj, but I know I was involved with the Unity Church before that and had spoken to her years before. So this, which you're all familiar with, I believe, was the second thing that landed in my lap, and I went, oh my gosh, the cover alone and then the title just drew me in. And I thought, who would, your invisible codes, you can take it to your childhood. We all did the secret codes we had and the little different kinds of messages we had, and they were invisible and it was magic. And then you could take it to what I believe and feel deeply about and what Marj and I are doing now. And Fabienne's been a great help with this, and so is Con. I'm so grateful. But doing a book club where we not only go through the chapters, but we interact with Marj and get to go on the journey of how it applies to our life and to write our own sacred love story. So that's why I'm here. That's what I'm about in this next couple weeks. And I invite all of you to join us, and I can send a flyer, or Fabienne can, or Marj might have, I don't know. But we meet once a week and we read so much of the book, and then we all gather and look at how to write our own love, our sacred love stories. So we all have a journey. It's all personal and it's all very collective. And so I'm very excited for the next couple of weeks. I'm extremely excited. I've done many of them. I've worked with many different authors, and it's such a fun journey to not only follow a new path that maybe you've never been on before, and then do it collectively together. So the other thing that I just want to say that I'm sure all of us are aware, but it's another magical thing that's crazy to me. We get in this pandemic, and a lot of people, yes, we knew about Zoom now, but most of our life is lived on Zoom now. So we get to meet people from all over the world, and we get to share all these things that probably we would have overlooked or not even been involved in. We were doing other things. We weren't collectively coming together. And I feel very strongly, we all need each other now. We need each other more than ever. And we need to spread the words and the things that are most meaningful to us, and how we can support one another. So that's why I'm here. I'm delighted. It's so much fun seeing everybody's faces. And one of the things I would love, if you wouldn't mind doing it, is putting in the chat where you're from so I can know where you're from. It's so much fun knowing that we've just got this big web that just keeps building and building and building. And so thank you. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope to see you in the book club.
So Ronnie, before you go, tell them when we're going to do the free call tomorrow.
We're going to do the free call tomorrow. Fabienne, I think that's all of that information is in the piece you sent out, correct?
Yes, it is in the email that was sent as a reminder this morning, and I also put the link in the chat for the registration and your email if they rather email you.
Perfect. Yeah, I thought that was all done and ready. So all the information, Fabienne does a wonderful job. She's like a little computer with love.
So one of the things that is really important for you that who perhaps have read my book, perhaps have attended many of the intensives I've done that related on to these stages. When I was in 2014, when I shifted and resigned from the bricks and mortar platform and stepped off of that and started Called by Love. Called by Love had its own birthing and its own beginning. The book club, the parts that I talk about are going to relate in big ways like never before to the things I've learned since the book was published. For example, for the very, very first time, I'm going to bring in the story of Ronnie, who his name is not in the book. There's a lot of people's names that are in the book. Ed, your name is in the book. We were important cogs in each other's life. Ron's name is not in the book. And I was still not knowing how to describe it or understand it. The last document that he asked me to write, What is Our Purpose?, had never been written. What I realize is that we are now going to be co-creating and writing that together. Ronnie, Ron on the other side, me on this side, and all of you who will participate in bringing your own magnificent, amazing lives into the story. This is going to go beyond anything that could have even happened 4 years ago when the book was published. And so it's going to be going into the vastness from where I was 4 years ago when the book was published. Interestingly, I won't go into that today, but Unity of Tustin itself went into a time of disillusion. And they've gone through four ministers, and now they have three as a team. And it seems under the leadership of amazing board, seems to be recovering and beginning to flower again. And the gardens are looking beautiful again. And the beautiful gardens that this book is all about was the sanctuary for the experience of services, celebration services during the pandemic, when all of the bricks and mortar sanctuaries were closed by law. So it's really fascinating. We have so much more to learn together and to write together, to scribe together. And that's partly, I think, why Spirit or Ron chose Ronnie. Maybe even your name, Ronnie, would get my attention. I can just imagine Ron on the other side saying, you know, I've been trying to get your attention over and over again. Here's another shot. Maybe you'll see it. And so I'm writing a blank page of paper on a call I'm going to do with her. And it says Marj/Ronnie. And all of a sudden, my whole awareness went, whew, and it just, oh my God, this is about Margie and Ronnie as well. And then the next email I got from Ronnie in the human plane, Dear Margie. And I looked at that and I said, that's the confirmation. He's telling me, yes, I'm working with you. Pay attention and get off your butt. Get unstuck. So Ronnie, what's your background? You're a magazine publisher and what else?
Oh, I've done a lot of things. I published a magazine called Inner Words for 13 years. And during that time, I was doing live events. I hosted Deepak Chopra, and Louise Hay had her first column in my magazine, and we continued for many, many years. And Greg Braden, I hosted him many times. If you all know Greg, oh, he's one of my best buddies ever. I think he's one of the biggest, greatest presenters on the planet. Tom Kenyon, a sound healer, and I could go through a list of many of them. I was very, very, very fortunate. And every one of them I met in a magical way, just like we're talking about today. I didn't seek them out. I didn't know who they were. We just got hooked up. And so for 13 years, I published a magazine and loved it. I've been in the spiritual field, as we would look at it now, probably not knowing it from a very young age. When I was very little, way before 5, I said to my mother, I said, I don't get this whole thing. If God's so wonderful, why is he up in the sky? Why doesn't he come down here with us? And my mother could not answer that. She said she many times says I took her by surprise with my questions, trying to understand spirit. And so I've been involved in that. I've done so many different things, but I went into Yellow Page advertising and was top in the state of California and met many great big businesses and learned the advertising world and the marketing world. And I loved it and I had fun, but it wasn't the same. So then I came back and for the last several years, I've been doing workshops online and book clubs. And so, I mean, there's lots in between, but those are the main pieces.
So I hope you're paying attention, Ed. Did you hear Yellow Page advertising? Everything in your life has been part of a divine design. There is no exception to that.
Yeah.
No exception. Dustin, your experience of attending Harvard has been part of that. No exception to that. It's so amazing when we begin to realize that every single piece of our life is part of the divine design. Bruce, you're being so involved in surveying. I had to stop and think the way it came through on the human plane. And there's no exception. It's now taken you to some of the deepest conversations I've had in the last 3 months. And it has included the cosmic plan. And I don't know if we'll have time, but maybe I'll bring you on for a minute again. But I want to talk to you about another cosmic plan. Ronnie, you mentioned Tom Kenyon.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about him.
Does anybody know Tom Kenyon or of him?
I know of him. I've never.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Tom Kenyon is probably, bar none, one of the most amazing sound healers on the planet. Unfortunately, I don't think he's doing a lot now. I haven't checked lately. He'll pop in every 6 months, every 3 to 6 months and do something, but he was international for sure. I met him because I've been to Egypt 2 times. And when I went to the sound healing temple and got more deeply involved in sound healing, I knew I wanted to meet Tom Kenyon when I came back. And I called him and I said, I want to host you. And I want to talk about the Hathors. And so I set up a workshop with him. And that's all I knew about him until he showed up for the workshop. And then we became great friends. He can sing, I can't remember how many octaves higher and lower than the normal human being. And so he takes you in meditations to unbelievable places. And he does have a website, and you can get his material, but he works with the Hathors, and it's he's very special, very special.
So what I want you to know, Bruce, I'm connecting some dots here. Bruce, I want you to know that Diane Fish, who was the co-teacher in the book study you and I were attending live yesterday, is a student along with Michael Ghilardi of Tong Kenyon, and they go to something with him quite regularly. I mean, I'm just giving you glimpses into the mystery, and I saw someone else just come online. Terry Patton, I would love to have you come online, unmute yourself and say,
okay, hi, Marj.
Hey, Terry.
Hey.
You know, you're one of
I'm preparing to teach really soon myself, but I just thought, oh, an opportunity to see Marj, I can't pass it up. So
I love you with all of my heart. I'm just absolutely delighted you're here. You're going through an amazing challenge right now, which involves a diagnosis about not potentially living. What I want you to know is that that's not what I see for you at all. I see you as living a miracle. And I don't know whether it'll be on this side or the other side. If it ends up being on the other side, I want you to continue communicating with me and working in every possible way for the deep love and friendship we've had over so many years. And
you got it.
Yay! And I want you to know that you're in my heart and you're in my prayers every single day. I want you to know that whatever you wish for your own highest good, your deepest heart's desire, is my wish for you. And the cosmos may have a different wish for each of us. I'm about a generation beyond you, older. How old are you now, Terry?
I'm 70.
Okay, I'm exactly completion on the human plane beyond you. I'm 82. So you and I could, either one of us, end up looking at each other on the other side and saying, hey, the beloved from Earth.
It's just really been an incredible spiritual journey to be working with this nearness to possible death. It just opens up a letting go that is so freeing to the heart.
Well, you have been freeing to my heart, because so many times when I wasn't totally clear about what the next step was to take, it was you that came into my awareness. And the time I wrote to you and said, I want you to come to Integral Living Room in Boulder, and Fabienne, and she's come online too. So unmute Fabienne and say hi to Terry.
Yes, Terry, thank you for joining us. It's so good to see you. Been thinking about you, and thank you for joining us. It's heartwarming to see you.
Yeah, it's so delightful to see you and Marj and everybody here.
And you know what I just found just recently, going through a stack of books? I found the book I signed for you and put in my book bag, and I never gave it back to you.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, when I was staying with you. Yeah.
If you send me your address, I'll send it back to you.
Okay. I'll email it or text it or something.
Oh, thank you, Terry. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you.
And Bruce.
Marj, I'd just like to share with Terry and everybody that several months ago, I got some news from my doctor that he has scheduled my death. I don't know whether it'll, come on that date or on the date Spirit has set, but it has set me absolutely free, which is kind of what you suggested, Terry. Difficult to explain, but it has been an incredibly liberating thing to consciously consider that experience rather than just leave it out there someplace.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that.
I think all my life I've felt a burden, the whole human race is at a crossroads. all future generations and all the creatures seem to be in jeopardy. We all have to do all we can. Am I accomplishing enough, or am I falling just short? And there was something about running into this grim prognosis that just lifted all that off my shoulders. I feel light as a feather since that.
I get it.
Well,
Thank you.
I don't think it was by human design that you and Bruce ended up having this conversation this morning. I didn't plan that. Bruce didn't plan that. You didn't plan that. If he had sent an email to you, and you might have not even received it because of your gatekeepers, which are necessary now in your life. Isn't it amazing how spirit puts things together? And Bruce, I was so happy to hear that you're saying, my doctor gave me my death date. That's not the death date spirit gave you. That's an invisible thing, an unknown thing. Well, maybe not. Your soul knows, but not your doctor. And so I just live in the miracle. Live heaven on earth. And if it shows up in the invisible, that's fine. Tomorrow, the next day, a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, doesn't matter. Tomorrow will be okay. 20 years will be okay. I'll love every minute of this divine co-creative experience on the human plane with people like you, Terry, and people like you, Bruce, and people like you, Ronnie, and people like you, Ed, and people like you, Fabienne, and people like you, Dustin. You're the only ones I can see at the top of my screen because I've got it on gallery view. I have it on speaker view. Oh, I just live in.
I'm sorry, Marj.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the Native Americans have a saying that today's a good day to die.
Yeah.
Why not?
Marj, if I can jump in here for a minute, I'd like to share just for a minute. I've been involved in, I don't even know, tons of groups, but I've never been involved with a one like what I am now, and it's called Ancient Secrets. And it's a 2,500 year lineage. What they were doing 2,500 years ago is the same exact thing they're doing today. They're working all with plant-based and herbs, and people's lives are changing in a way that's just profound. We have a Sunday call at 8 o'clock in the morning or on Facebook. I'll put the link in the call, and I've got my email if anybody wants more information. I have been in the holistic and field for a lot of times, but I've never seen anything like this. Never, ever, ever. It's amazing. It's a great group, and I invite you all on Sunday morning or to look up Dr. Clint G. Rogers. I'll put it in there, or Dr. Naram. Your life will be changed. That I can promise, just by being involved in one or two meetings. It's like meeting Marj and seeing a whole new world unfold. So anyway, I'll throw it in this chat.
And I invite everyone to please print out the chat, save it and print it out, so that you can also remember to come on the live call tomorrow at 10 o'clock with Ronnie and I on her platform, which is announcing me as the next person that she's going to feature for a book club. So, this is the way you have witnessed it live on your Zoom this morning. This is the way that divine mind manifests. And because you were here and said yes to being on this particular call at this particular moment in time, you have witnessed divine mind manifesting. Terry, oh my God, I could never in my wildest imaginings of my human mind imagine that you would come on the call this morning and that you and Bruce would meet, that you and Ronnie would meet, that all of the people would have a chance to say, oh my God, what just happened?
Well, we're all on this amazing journey of living and dying, and it's not a problem that we are living and dying. And somehow may our deep practice and reconciliation with the totality of that round trip ticket we've all been given enable us to show up without so much anxiety and confusion when we confront our collective mortality, which is a new challenge for our species, and obviously midwifing us across an amazing initiatory transition. I really only had a few moments. I didn't realize you were going to invite me on, but having invited me back on again gives me a chance to thank you and say goodbye to everybody.
Oh, Terry, I love you with all of my heart.
Thank you, Terry.
Back at ya.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Oh, take a deep breath, everyone. You have just witnessed the divine mind manifesting. You have just witnessed love in action. You have just witnessed yourself in the field of that. Take it in. What does it mean? Is there someone in your life that is saying, pay attention, I've been trying to get through to you? Like perhaps Ron was when he sent me Ronnie. I had to finally find this woman. She was all the way in Northern California. That's what Bud said to me one morning. I don't know why this always happens when I'm in the bathroom curling my hair, or like similar places. You know, Bud says, Mom, Paul won't listen to me. Tell him how to listen. Tell him that when I'm talking to him, it'll feel like his thoughts. But he'll know it's me by the way I say it. Teach him how to listen. And so that's part of what you and I are challenged with, or invited to do. Not challenged, that was the wrong word. That's a human word. Invited to do on the calls we're going to be doing together, Ronnie. And I know you said you had to leave for another call also. So if you still have to leave, we'll know that that is the way that the universe arranged your life. Or not, maybe it was your human self that arranged it.
It was a combination. Thank you. I loved meeting everybody. Please get in touch with me for anything. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and lots of love.
And save the chat so that you'll have
Thank you,
contact.
Ronnie.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you.
And what I want to do is go to gallery view now myself. And I want to have a chance for people to ask questions or to share their, oh my God, experiences, and to get clear about, you know, what this means to manifest from divine mind. So many times we don't understand that it requires us to simply be, in the flow. Don Beck called it flex flow, but the who is your higher self. Your higher self is out ahead of you every single moment. Your higher self has no limitations. Your higher self is experiencing no lack in anything ever. And your higher self is orchestrating everything, all things, on your behalf. Better than you can even imagine it with your human mind. The interesting piece is you can't drag the old into the new. You can't take the old ways of being and force an effort. Oh my God. You can't force an effort your way into heaven on earth. And so the next question that I brought up from the text this morning, when? Whenever you choose. Whenever you choose. Whenever you allow yourself to live in the flow, whenever you allow that which belongs to you, I am that always already, to come to you at the perfect time in the divine right way, or something so much better. And how? Well, you think perhaps it's your plan that will figure it out. And yet what I've lived with for the last 50 years before I even became a minister was what I repeat thousands of times. Once you have accepted God's plan as the one function that you would fulfill, there will be nothing else. The Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your effort. And it goes on. In the course, I'm sure I'll be giving you that because it's just too important. It's not you that will figure it out. It is your higher self, the universal mind, that will bring it into manifestation. You have witnessed it on the call this morning. Oh my God. I couldn't have even imagined Terry Patton would show up on this call. That was not in my human mindset or my human mind plan. All you have to do is to let everything be in alignment and present itself to you, invite you, and then you have to say yes. Of course, you can say, oh, I don't have time for this. I have something else. You have 1,000 different excuses. You know every single one of them. You've used them. You have to align with your highest good and let everything that is in alignment to present itself to you. So what I realize is that the Holy Spirit creates my to-do list every single day. And my human self says, oh my God, you ought to clean up some of the stuff that my my addiction is to paper. And I have created stacks my entire life. I used to create them have them on my desk at Unity in Tustin. And when Marla worked for me as part of the staff there, she would help clean them up or put them where I couldn't see them or the public couldn't see them. Now she has come to my house to help me do that in my own office here at home. And, you know, we all have our addictions. I call it propensities. And that's not what divine mind is about. That's our human mind wanting to feel comfortable and to keep our treasures that that might be important to us at some point in the future. Well, past, present, and future are one in vertical awareness, all existing simultaneously. And what What you manifest first is some of the stillness, because that is the access point to this. You have to listen. And if you've got 100 things that you're listening to, or 100 things on your calendar that you're tuning into, even on Zoom calls like this, you have to listen to divine mind or it can't get through to you. Stillness is the access point to the acceleration of this manifestation. You have to slow down in order to actually speed up the acceleration. And that's when you get clear. On a clear day, you will see forever. I love that song. You'll know the perfect next step. Notice I didn't say the next steps for the next 7 or 8 weeks. You will know the perfect next step. And you say yes to that. The next point of light. It's the inspiration that's coming to you from divine mind, from divine inspiration. That's site 3 in the meditation garden. It includes dream work. Read it in the book. It is not inspiration coming from your human mind that comes from your logical, rational thinking. It is being in the vibration of love and above. Can you experience love in the lower vibrations? Yeah, sure you can. It can show up in all of the ways it showed up in your life, including my attraction to Ron when I was 13 years old. So it can include all of that. But the manifestation levels have their own alignment with the vibrational levels. So we manifest babies coming out of second chakra co-creation. We manifest divine heaven on earth coming out of love, unconditional love and above. Notice I corrected myself. It's not just seeing through the eyes of love individually. It's collaborating and co-creating together. It's moving into the realms of oneness. It is being, so the where is heaven on earth. And it's being guided by this vibration of unconditional love and seeing through the lens of love. We have about 20 minutes left. I want people to raise their hands, ask questions, give examples of stories that become love stories. Bruce, I think you could do that so easily. A human story that becomes a love story. Anyone else? Who would like to come live online? Did anyone today have any oh my God moments?
I did.
All right, Barbara, thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes one person to begin the process.
I'll go. Just listening again, exactly kind of like what you were saying. I opened my emails today. I saw that this was going to be starting at 10 o'clock, and I was involved in some other things, and the little voice got louder and louder. It said, "You need to attend this." And I'm so glad that I'm here, because it's like I'm connecting dots. And the thing that it keeps coming to me, or has kept coming to me the last hour, is stretch outside of your box.
Yes.
Or just break out of the box.
Well, you had a pretty amazing box that you lived in. Tell us a little bit about your life.
Well, some people know me, some people don't, but I was a social worker for like 35 years with the almost mentally ill. That was the last part of my career. And
you work for the Orange County?
Yeah, healthcare agency. Yeah. Yeah. So a
And
licensed
you were
clinical
the
social
director of
worker.
the department.
No, it wasn't a director of department, but in the last few years, I was the head of the homeless program for the mentally ill.
Notice all of these are all points of light. These are all pieces of the puzzle coming together. I was
Yeah.
head of the homeless program. Now, I wish she had to leave the call, but I wish Ronnie had heard that, because Dr. Clint that she's working with now is working with the homeless in a miracle mindset kind of
Oh.
framework.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead,
Interesting.
Barbara.
Well, then with Ronnie being on there, again, the dots, and things are clicking and everything. And I'm thinking, And then she talks about the ancient secret Zoom with Dr. Rogers. And I thought, okay, I think I need to tune into that. And
I'm enrolled in that class that he's doing on miracles. So I'm enrolled and Ronnie's enrolled. You'll meet up with us there if you do that.
Cool. Yeah. And it's like, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I mean, you were, of course, extremely influential on me. And when I was ready, you were there. And this is back in the early 2000s. And I'm now again kind of at that point that, okay, now what is next? But the two most important words are pay attention.
Yeah.
So today I'm getting that again, pay attention. And it's just amazing what things have just come to me the last hour. And having Ronnie on there and you talking, and then Terry there and Bruce there. It's like, okay, what's next? What's the next wonderful creative thing I can be involved in? How can I use my creation and co-create?
Well, let me give you an example that is already in existence. It was you that put me connected. We connect each other with connectors, with co-creators, with masters. And you connected me with Jeff. And Jeff was the angel on a motorbike, a motorcycle.
Yes.
Yeah. And working with the homeless.
Yes,
and
he was my staff. Yeah.
I have called him dozens of times when I needed someone to assist in working with the homeless.
Yeah.
And I ran into someone in front of Coco's one day, and he wouldn't even take $5 from me, and he wouldn't talk to me. And I called Jeff and I said, Jeff, how should I handle something like that? And he said, send him to me. I know how to speak his language. Well, I went back and he wasn't there. So it was, I hadn't asked Jeff that question soon enough. But I call him all the time, an angel on a motorcycle.
Yeah. I always used to refer to him as my staff angel. He was just magnificent, and he's still magnificent. He goes to Unity of Tustin. It's like, oh my gosh, he's my staff angel. Yeah.
Actually, he helped Fabienne out with some needs in her life at one point in time. And she's still benefiting from an angel on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And it's so incredible. If we think we are doing these things. I just started to use some profanity. Our human takes credit for divine design.
Yeah.
Profanity is part of the human plane.
Oh gosh.
So what I know is that you also occasionally and often attend the mystical book study. You may have heard about Paul Kenyon. Isn't it amazing that Ronnie's talking about Paul Kenyon?
Yes.
And I know some backstory about him. He used to be married to the daughter of a very famous Unity minister. And it's so fascinating how we're all connected in our backstories.
Yeah.
So, Barbara, I want you to give some thought about what your next steps are that would come out of co-creation. I'd love to have you sign up for the book study with the free call tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And I just think there's more for you and I to be doing together, not as human
Right.
minds, not as our human being stuff. We have all
Mhm.
kinds of stuff that we've already done together, along with the divine stuff that we've done.
Mhm.
But I think there's something that we don't even know yet. There are things coming into our lives that we haven't even imagined.
Yep.
And it happened on the call today when Terry Patton showed up.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Yes,
And-
I'll definitely be there tomorrow.
All right, Fabienne is giving me a reminder of something. Fabienne, would you come online right now and tell us what you're reminding me of?
I was just sending the reminder in the chat for the book club so I put the link to the book club and the contact information again from Ronnie. If anyone had trouble to sign up on the website, they can just contact her by email.
And Fabienne, while you're here, tell us about Great Nonprofits and your request for that.
Yeah, it is an invitation, and I will start sharing my screen. Well, no, I'll start sharing about it, I guess. I also put that, no, I didn't put it in the email, but I did put it on the Facebook Call by Love. And several years we got to benefit from the Great Nonprofit Award. And it's very simple to help us with that. It literally takes a few minutes. Let me see, I wasn't at that, but let me see if I can bring it back up.
Well, put that in the chat also. But while you're doing that,
I'm here. So I will put it back. I will put the URL back in the chat as well. So it's just by going to that URL, what helps us a lot is if you would click on the share your story button and then put a little, it can be really short. It can only take a few minutes, but a little something that was beneficial from you, from Call by Love. It can be from the call today, it can be from any part of the work with Marj before, even the dream work or any of our calls, any of our intensive, just a little something. If we do get 10 reviews in the next 10 days, that will qualify us for the 2021 award, which will be wonderful. So it's just a little way to help us and to let us know that what we do make a difference for you, and that all our efforts and all our selfless service has made an impact. So that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
let me also tell you, if you've done this before, please do it again with your perspective from how it's helped your life in the last year. An example of that is Ed. You wrote one of the most beautiful messages a year ago. And oh my God, it touched my heart. It just filled my heart with joy just reading your words. Now, if you wrote again and say, talk about how it's impacted the work that we've done in Called by Love, and you've been on a lot of the calls, and you were on 100 Days of Prayer, you include all of those kinds of things and talk about how it's changed your life. Because come online, Ed, unmute yourself and talk about some of the things you've done as a result.
Well, I mean, connecting the dots is one of them. And how my story, I think, of my upbringing and how it's changed me, and the interventions in my life, like going into the Navy, moving to Kansas City, meeting you, all those things were very
Working for Yellow Pages.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I sold Yellow Page advertising, right, in Kansas City, Missouri, right. One of the many jobs that I've had, including having a real estate broker's license and being in the mortgage business for 30 years. So yeah, so and working at Boys Town. Working at Boys Town as a house parent for 3.5 years with Ellen and where we had our 2 children up there. So and working with those 9 guys. And that was wonderful. And we had a wonderful assistant, African-American, graduated from K-State. So she was wonderful. I still keep in contact with her. So anyway, all those things are very impactful on the path of life. And I have, as you know, I have the term interventions in my life. I mean, you can have people have different words for that, but it was a growth mechanism. It was a faith, a cheerfulness, if you will. So yeah, very, very instrumental in my life, just as you were. So.
Suddenly, as you said that word interventions, which you and I have had a lot of discussions about because I use different words.
Right.
But as you said it this time, what I heard, this is the voice speaking to me in its own ways. What I heard was, even I use interventions. It's called the divine two-before when you haven't listened for a long time. The planet Earth has gotten the divine two-before in the last 2 years. If any of you have gone through divine two-before experiences, you know what they were. It's not something you caused, but it could have been part of the collective consciousness and even the universe saying, wake up, pay attention, for God's sake. Can't you see? Pay attention.
Well, Marj, you know,
intervention.
but you know, you started this by saying the darkness, the pandemic. And we've been here before. I mean, the Spanish fly, polio, mumps, measles. I mean, we've been here before in the darkness.
Yeah.
There is a difference between then, the early 1900s, and today. And I think we're still searching for answers about why the differences.
Okay.
I think we know the answers.
So one of the things you've been doing is writing and researching and sending things to your family and your brothers and sisters. Talk just a little bit about that.
Well, you mean you're talking about Francis Blue, who I grew up with in East St. Louis, Illinois?
Well,
when we
that
were
would
living
be
over
an
there.
example.
Yeah, well, I found out from a gal that I was in grade school with at St. Patrick's Great Catholic School in East St. Louis, Illinois, where we moved when my dad had 3 ophthalmology offices, St. Louis, East St. Louis, and Granite City.
Mhm.
So we moved there for 5
Yeah, I'm
years.
still on.
And we made friends.
yeah,
Francis Blue, I was talking to Jeannie Keeble, and she mentioned that Francis Blue, am I still on? She mentioned that Francis Blue was living in Santa Barbara. Well, you and I have been to Santa Barbara. We even went to the Unity Church there, remember? So I told him that I had a nephew who was a vascular surgeon in Santa Barbara. One thing led to another, and we started communicating. And then we were talking about how we grew up, and then how we happened to move to East St. Louis. We became friends. And then the last email I got from him, believe this, March, he has been to Palm Desert. Palm Desert. Yeah, he has a place in Palm Desert, which I haven't responded to him on that yet. And we've been there before. So, you know, it's just amazing how small the world is, if you will. But it's revisiting and the reasons and things that bring you together, and the sadness you felt when we left St. Louis and all my friends there, moved to East St. Louis, and then 5 years later moved back down the street from my best friend five doors down, you know, things of that nature, and how the balance and the imbalance, and how it always ends up tending to be a balance with remembering great times and sad times as well.
And what you've been doing, and you told me you had 60 or 70 pages the last time you told me, you've been remembering this and you've been writing it down in a Word document or something. And then you've been sending it to your friends or your children. And there it is. What you're doing, Ed, is you are becoming the author of a potential book that you might at some point publish. Maybe not. Maybe it's a memoir. Maybe it's an inspirational story of how you shift in your own realms of consciousness, how you hear the call to something that is beyond, that's about healing lives, building dreams, and realizing God as love. I mean, who knows what it's about? You don't even know the purposes that are beyond what the glimpses that you see now relate
well,
to.
Yeah, just reflections on special times of my life. So it's kind of fun.
So
Looking
If
back.
if you would write another review on great nonprofits and kind of talk about that, it would be wonderful.
On nonprofits?
Great nonprofits. Fabienne just put it up on the screen, and I put a link in the.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll get into that. Yeah.
The other
Yes.
person I want to bring on is Marla. And Marla, come online. We only have about 4 minutes left, but I want to say hello to you. Are you unmuted, Marla? There you are. Hi, Marla.
Hi.
You have been in a course with me with the council and Sarah Landron. Tell me how that's felt for you and how it's shifting things for you.
Well, I don't know if I knew these things before. Maybe I did, and she's just helping me remember, but I didn't know that every day could be paradise. I didn't know that you could really create it all the time, manifest it, I guess is the word. And so it's kind of amazing. So some things are maybe just falling away that aren't part of the paradise, but there are still things that, like you like to say, that what we don't even know. So that's what I'm open to. I'm open to what's next, and maybe I can't imagine it. So it's been a really good class, and I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Marla. You know, being with you in paradise with Sarah Landon and the council has been one of the highlights of my entire lifetime. It has taken me to levels beyond anything that I've ever seen on the internet. And it's given me a model for some of the things that are clearly, and I'd never seen it before, next steps in my own path. That's amazing for me to say at 82 years old. And I don't even know how I found out about her. I can't even remember. But being in the work with her, doing a private one-on-one with her has been absolutely life-changing for me. And it's hilarious. Like you said, maybe I just didn't know it. Maybe I knew it, but had never heard it quite the same way.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it and I had heard it and I had even said it, but what I'd never included in it was a vision of putting myself into that realm as one who works with the connection between heaven and earth.
Mm-hmm.
So my commitment now is to living heaven on earth every single day. And Dustin, I saw Fabienne ask you if you wanted to come on. We could stay a minute over just for you to say hello if you wanted to.
Yeah. Let's do.
Dustin, unmute. You're not unmuted yet. There.
I really have nothing to say today, except I picked up a lot of connections. I can't repeat them today. I have to think about them and kind of based in them. But I just picked up a lot of connections today that I hadn't made before. And they've really enlightened me. So I thank you so much for everyone on this call.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we are right on the hour of our time to close. And so we'll go back to that song that is from my childhood, Dream of Love, Liebestrom. Thank you, everyone. I'm sending you all my love, total love. I know you are the beloved. And come on the call at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Let's explore what it means for us to truly be seeing each other as the beloved and co-creating at the levels of mastery. That's the call tomorrow at 10 o'clock.